Thanks for fun, and today it's 3-Minute Thursday, where you've asked a question of me and I get 3 minutes to answer it. Although today I can promise you I cannot make 3 minutes. It's about winter gear. Come on. So one of you guys asked a question about what gear do I use in the wintertime with hammocking. You can go check out, there's tons of videos out there about guys like Shug making it in -40. That ain't ever gonna be me. Negatives, yeah, maybe 10, -10, -15 tops. Once it goes below that, I have a Kafaro 8-man teepee with a wood burning stove. It's a backpack setup. I will carry that all day long. It gets below that. So I'm going to jump into this question and answer the best I can. I'm going to show you my gear that I'm going to be using in the winter. Alright, so here's my backpack. This is the Zpacks Arc Haul. This pack weighs 24 ounces. 24 ounces, that's 1.5 pounds, guys. So this was one of the first things I upgraded, was my backpack. It's made out of, they use a 4.8 ounce per square yard heavier grade material on the Arc Haul, which gives a little bit more abrasion resistance. Of course, I just have to have a chair, so that's what this guy is. And I used to pack the REI Flex Light, but as you know, a lot of people have those. There's some setup time, and sometimes I just need to stop, sit down for a second, get a snack, whatever. The thing I like about the stool is as soon as you take it off the pack and before you hit the ground, it's set up ready to sit on. And then when you're done, just put it back up there and snap it back on. So shout out to Shug for that really good suggestion. Woo, buddy! All right, so on the outside, I think I'm gonna just lay the stuff all out on the table here. On the outside, I like to keep my rain gear. I know it's wintertime, right? So why do I have rain gear? Well, it's not just rain gear, it's also wind gear. So this will take down jackets and other types of clothing to another level when it can keep wind out. And sometimes it's just cold wind that's really getting to you. Besides, these are Outdoor Research makes these. This is the Helium 2 jacket with hood, and this is 5.5 ounces. And you see how small it packages up to. And this is their pants, 5.6 ounce. And I carry the REI mittens as a wind barrier for my merino gloves. Just a seating pad, but it also doubles as to help in the hammock a little bit cold. This is my water filtering system. Now, very, very important to note, these filter-based systems like the Sawyer systems, you want to keep that filter with you in the hammock. And I've got it inside the backpack. They have a lot of little tubes inside, of micro tubes, and they fill with water, obviously. So if it gets frozen, it can break all those things, and then you're not getting any protection. So always keep your filter in your water system, at least in wintertime. So this is a little thing I sewed up for all my tree straps and stakes and extra cordage and stuff. This is my tarp. It's a Dutch wear tarp, but I believe it's a hammock gear made tarp. I'll confirm that. This is just a tree strap thing I made. Lets me go around the tree, click on, and hold my backpack up. This is a double wall titanium cup. One thing I like to do is when I get to camp, I always put my little mini survival and a first aid kit. I put these two on me when I get to camp because if I ever get separated from camp where all my awesome gear is, then what? So I make sure I always have like a knife and first aid and survival type stuff on my body when I leave camp. The latest addition, as you guys know about, is my little writing kit with thermometer. And of course, got my cook kit, the Solo twig burning stove with the Trangia alcohol stove as a backup. And I don't know if you noticed it or not, but I'm having to detach a lot of these things in the pockets. What you don't want to do is be going down the trail and get miles to your camp and realize all my forks fell out. Or any of these other things you saw me, I got them all, get one of these little lightweight carabiners, and I added some Dyneema string that illuminates at night. So that I don't lose any of that stuff on the hike. Always keep my right back pocket where my water bottle goes, and I have probably used a smart water bottle on 10 trips at least. On this side we got the backpack rain cover, which I did a video for. I'll post it down below on how to make this. And bundled up inside that was my little F-Stop thing. This is for all of my, this is my battery charging and cables and stuff for my phones in my hammock. This is one of my secret weapons in wintertime for hammocking. Not only is there an underquilt, but this is an underquilt protector. And what this does is it gives not only a wind barrier but a rain barrier. I would say it probably adds 5 to 10 degrees to your underquilt's rating. I'm not going to take all this out, but basically I've got all my toiletries, sunscreen, lip balm, backup compass, things like that. And one of my most important things, obviously in wintertime, is my Mora. Not only is it my knife, well, I can do some batoning with it, not much, but some. So I have to light my ferro rod on it. So it's also my fire start. That is on my hip at all times when I get to camp with the first aid and survival kit, as I showed you. I think that's all for the outside. Nope, sorry. So on the left side, I keep a backup straw here, the straw type filter, so I don't have to get out my Sawyer setup if I just want to get to a creek, get a quick drink. Keep towels in here, hygiene type stuff. I love this watertight zipper and construction that Zpacks does on these. This one here is where I keep the trail snacks for that day and my headlamp. So my headlamp is always in here in the right one, along with that day's trail snacks. You can see they've got this really cool snap top. It's not a dry bag. I wouldn't treat it like it'll keep everything waterproof. It'll definitely help in rain. But as you see, I still have a backup rain cover. Usually right towards the top, I usually have the remaining part of the water filter kit and food. And if it's a multi-day trip, I would have bags for each day, and then I would make sure that that day's worth of food was brought to the top, specifically lunches. Once you leave camp and you eat breakfast, I like to somewhere stop in the middle on the way and do the lunch, so I don't want to be diving through the gear. Then the rest of the stuff for that dinner for that night, and maybe extra snacks for dinner, they would be all on the top. Everything's on the top. And this is a Z-Pack bear resistant, but mostly for where I pack, it's rodent resistant. It's made of the Cuban fiber. I almost always have a bunch of paper towels folded up, a bunch of tin foil folded up, and my little condiment drink collection. Coffees, hot teas, hot cocoa, salt, pepper, things like that. And then kind of accompanies any of the backpacking food. It's kind of like that pot cozy I made for my stove, but you put your packet in there and you're not robbed of the heat that you put into it. The thing about this trip, it's just an overnight, so I don't have to worry about organizing day by day on this trip. Also, this is a Zpacks stuff sack. I just keep any of my stuff I want to keep dry in there. In this case, this is my sleeping kit, so it's going to have my possum down socks, possum down gloves. If you've never touched possum down, you've got to try. Zpacks sells these, they're amazing. Balaclava, I don't know if it'll get cold enough for that, but of course I have a bunch of these Hanks for Fun stuff sacks I made. This is my backup. So in here I have things like a little backup titanium alcohol stove. Got a little repair kit, some really good Dyneema, as well as some jute twine. Then we got our Zpacks toothbrush kit. Another fire start as a backup in a waterproof shell. I'm gonna add some stuff to that dry sack if you're wondering why I didn't properly roll it back up. Last thing in here at the bottom is my sleeping setup. All right, so this is my Dutch Chameleon. It's a little bit bigger than it normally is because I've also got the winter top zipped on it. It's all ready to go. I've also got 2 pillows in there. I've got my Ridgeline organizers and lights. All that's in here. So including everything to hook the suspension up to the straps that are in the little strap bag. This is a dry sack, but it's also compressible. So it lets air out, but doesn't let air or water back in. I've got my hammock gear underquilt and top quilt in here, 20 degree. Now I had a little bit of overfill done, so I think my underquilt is probably rated around 5 degrees and my top quilt's probably around 10 degrees. I'm not gonna take these out. These are all ready to go. Always have some kind of light. This is one of those indestructible, lightweight, you know, these kind of lights. So I'm real big on layers, especially in the wintertime when you're backpacking. You're using big muscle groups or you're not moving at all, and you need to be potentially go from a sweaty condition to potentially just sitting there. That could be very dangerous. So I use 100% merino wool from Sitka gear, and that's what I use for my base layer against my skin. On top of that, I wear what you always see me in, my Prana pants, and these are those Zion stretch zips. And then I've got the Patagonia Capilene. Now this in itself is considered a base layer, and then the top shirt. So y'all know about this. I always have this. This could save your life. Now, in my pocket, but carabinered to my pant loop, is always the Baco Laplander. This thing, you gotta be able to process firewood if you're gonna use wood for heat. And I just love this thing for the weight, ergonomics. It doesn't seem to catch on any of my pocket when I'm sliding in there. It's like I don't even have it on me. But like I was saying before, whenever I leave camp, I'm gonna have this on. I'm gonna have that Mora knife that I keep on my backpack normally with the fire steel on it, and I'm gonna have my first aid kit and my survival kit always on my body when I leave camp. We are running out of room. And I don't put the merino wool top part on until I go to leave, so just before I head out the door I'll put this on because I'll get too hot inside of this. Alright, I gotta brag about this thing. This is probably one of the best purchases I've made as far as regulating your temperature out. Absolutely taking off and putting on a hat is, I find, one of the best ways to regulate temperature. That and opening up venting and letting heat escape. You do not want to sweat in cold weather. And this guy weighs under an ounce, 0.95 ounce from Zpacks. That's why a lot of my videos you'll see this on, but you'll see it on and off throughout the day. This is how I usually do most of my temperature regulation. And going back to the Sitka gear, that's all my merino wool stuff, I also have their gloves. These are not gonna keep cold temperature out, but when you're touching cold steel like camera gear and there's a little silicone drippiness on them, these are really nice to take the chill off. If I need more than this, I got the those super lightweight, I think they weigh an ounce as well, the waterproof, windproof mittens you saw. So if it starts raining or if these aren't giving me enough warmth, I'll put that on top. But as a backup, as you saw, I have the possum down socks. I have the possum down gloves. If you combine the possum down with the merino wool against your skin, put the possum down on top of that, and then you put that, it's like a Cuban fiber mitten, it keeps all the wind out and water. I'm telling you, that is about, I don't think you can do better than 2.5 ounces for the pair. It's 3 layers, but only 2.5 ounces. You can still have mobility of your hands, yet, man, you can get some pretty cold temps with that setup. And I'm really big on layers, constantly taking layers off, putting them back on. So typically how I have my layer stuff situated on my backpack, it's all about being able to shed layers, add layers. Let's just forget about weight. These are my Chippewa Arctic 50s. Technically they go to -50. I don't care if they do or not. I can wear these. I've worn these in 65, 70 degree weather. What they do is I use shearling wool as the lining. It's a phenomenal boot, and the sole, the Vibram sole with the Goodyear welting is just such, there's hardly any flex, and the grip on these is amazing. So when you're going on really sharp and steep inclines, especially when there's snow on the ground, which there will be snow and ice on this trip, you've got to have something like this. You can't be slipping and falling. I love these boots. They take a beating, they last a long time, and they just do their job. And with any of the Chippewas, you always know if it's made in the USA if it's got that little flag right there. At least they used to do that program. So love these boots. In a pinch, you can also get these resoled. I could send these back in if I ever wear out these soles, get them redone. I found that feet are probably my most important thing to keep comfy out on a backpacking trip, especially in wintertime. Other thing I like about this, besides the hoodie part and the fact that it's got the little piece of felt or something right around that part that normally irritates your neck, it's so soft. Besides that, and the packability of this thing, I love the hood. This thing is made with traceable down, which means they have Patagonia has a relationship with the farms where they collect the down from the geese. They make sure they're not overfed, they make sure they're not live plucked. All the bad stuff we always hear about this, but I can't stress enough how light this is. It's 9.5 ounces. It just doesn't seem like something this light would give you that kind of warmth, or be that small packed down. Very important piece of my gear. Going back to what I was saying earlier, what if it's not going to rain when I'm out there, but the snow can melt and get me wet, or most likely it's going to be windy. So one of the main things I do is for wind protection, and that's the main reason I still bring my rain gear even in the wintertime. It's not necessarily for rain, obviously, but this down jacket's only as good until it's, as long as you're keep it dry. So also you can tell when you've got that jacket on, even with I'm running 4 layers when I have the jacket on. Without the 5th layer, the rain jacket layer, you can like wind can get in there. You can feel it get in there. As soon as you put that jacket, that super light 5.5 ounce rain jacket on, and stops that wind, it takes your heat up another notch. It keeps that heat inside much better. And the whole solution, if you add up all the ounce, it's pounds less than a jacket of similar warmth. I'm about at 14 pounds now with my camera gear, between batteries, the main camera, main microphone and lighting system, the RX0 action cam-ish on a gimbal, and the drone, and you know, all the batteries and cables and filters and lenses and stuff to support it. I've got all that in a, oh, and a couple tripods. I've got all that down to about 14 pounds, 13 and change. This is the bigger of the tripods, Joby's. This is the 3K. What I'll do is I make a wooden tripod if I need to get higher up, and then I wrap this onto the top of that for my bigger gear. But I've got to have the 3K for my main camera. Oh yeah, and on the front here is where I carry the RX0 on the G5 gimbal with the little 1K version of the Joby. This is for the little trail walk-bys, and also I can do the inverted gopher cam, as Shug calls it. So obviously I like to have that ready at my disposal. Quick access, get quick footage, get back on the trail without having to set my backpack, take it off or anything like that. So this is the Peak Design capture. It allows for quick detach of the Arca plate type that they... So this provides a Arca type plate. It goes into the PD capture like that, and it's right there ready to go. And there's a red button here, you push it and then it releases. Otherwise, that click you heard was it being locked. It doesn't go anywhere. This is all the batteries, filters, cables, battery chargers. A lot of the weight in here is battery. Call me crazy, but I've got bags and bags. So these 4 lightweight bags made by Eagle Creek, they're called packets. These are the XS's. I was gonna make these myself, but when I started looking into it, I've got all the zippers and the same kind of material. They were on sale at REI for about $8 or $9, and these are normally $16 to $18. And this kind of material is a really good rip stop. It's not gonna rip on you. Or if it doesn't rip too far. So each bag, I just put a little piece of gaff tape on it and mark it. This is the Smart bag. So anytime I'm doing stuff with the Spark, I would grab my Spark bag. And then there's my little ND filters. I'm not gonna go into all the details, but batteries, propellers, anything, extra memory, cloth for the lens, anything I need for the Spark, right there. That way I don't have to go to a bag that's got a whole bunch of camera gear and extra, you know, all the wires are getting confused and everything like that. Now my main camera, the RX10 Mark IV, on his baggie, I've got ND filter, polarizer, little leveler things. I've got like 6 batteries. If you know anything about the FW50 batteries, man, the Sonys just chew through these FW50s. So extra, another stick of 128 gig memory, yada yada yada. The RX0 is basically just, oh, and I forgot, every one of these have, you know, cable, USB cable, and these little pull straps I made from reflective Dyneema with a little pull lock, cord lock, sorry. So I got a way to, got an extra RX0 battery and a way to charge it with a little USB external device. The RX0's battery life isn't that great either, just 700 milliamp hour. I got another 128 gig chip for it as a backup, lens cloth, those kind of things. But the main thing is I can go into my battery bag and I can grab the pouch for the specific camera I'm maintaining or replacing batteries or whatever out in the field. Then I usually have a MISC bag. MISC bag is usually going to have stuff like these extra cloths. I always carry an extra lav mic in case something happens to the main Rode lavs. They're so light. And easy for me to say. And earpods, so I can preview footage at night in the hammock if I have time. I don't usually have time, but in case I do. A way to take one of my little Leecher torch lights, or even the RX0, and attach it with something I can attach for footage. Time lapse, rechargeable AA's, AAA's in here, extra wires. I also have this mechanism here, lets me hook up to my Type-C USB connection on my Note 8 and connect memory from my cameras at night and offload it. I've got a 256 gig chip on my Note 8 that I back up my footage to. This thing is actually pretty fast. It's I played with a lot of these to connect to your phone, to connect memory to your phone externally, and that's the fastest one I could find. Because you're talking, it could take hours to make a copy of a stick, and I've got, you know, the drone, the Arc 0, and the Arc 10. So there's potentially 60 something gigs a piece a day or more. That's going to take hours each if it wasn't a faster device. And then I touched on this before, but I've got my main charging batteries. Now, if it's sunny out, I'll move these out of my backpack and onto the outside of the backpack. Specifically, remember each of these have their own little solar charger. Specifically this guy here. You know, I want to get that's 4.8 watts of recharging capability. So if weather permitting, this guy will be on the outside of that pack charging this guy up. But on an overnight pack, I'm probably gonna reduce this down to, matter of fact, I'll do that right now. I think I'll just bring one of these. I don't need 3 of them. Plus remember I've got the one for my cell phones. Now my cell phones are important because one, I back up my memory sticks as I told you, and I use it for photo pills to know where the sunset's going to be, the sunrise is going to be, where the Milky Way and things like that if I want to do any photography while I'm there. And I use my iPhone, I have a littler iPhone that I use to control the drone and talk to the cameras, talk to the gimbal. And that takes extra power, so I need to be able to charge it up. Oh, and my main phone also does the maps for the inReach device. So we're not going to take these. I'm just going to take one of these. That should be plenty. Alright, that's it for batteries. Batteries and charging. Basically anything to support the process of getting good footage out in the field. Alright, now, then this is for the stationary camera gear. You saw the Arc 0 and the gimbal that I keep on the front. That's for the shots on the trail. But if I'm doing a longer stop, like at camp or point of interest or something, I'll take the stuff sacks you saw me bring out of the top, which lets me get right to this. This is an F-Stop Small, I believe. And you can see in here, I've managed to get the lighting system. I have a double Litra lighting system. The Shure VP83 mic with the dead cat on it for wind guard. The RX 10 Mark IV. That's the main camera for the best shots and stuff. The Arc 0 is mostly for on the go. And then the remote control and for the Spark and the Spark itself. All the batteries and stuff for all this gear is separate, but this is the main gear. It's protected in here and it's kept about midway on my backpack. I believe this is around 6 pounds for this gear right here. And the RX 0 with the gimbal and the little tripod is right around 2. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry, there's just no way I could answer this question in 3 minutes. It's just not possible. So maybe ask questions that are a little narrower, like what boots do you like to use in the winter or something. But asking me what winter gear, if you can do it in 3 minutes, go ahead and put a video up and give me a link to it. I gotta see, because there's just a lot of stuff to cover in a short, very, very short time. Thanks for fun, signing off. Remember to hang your own hang, and as always, happy hanging.